I've never opened up about this, but like something really fucked up happened to me in the military as well. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. So my first year in the military, I got sexually assaulted. I was 18. And I don't know, I was very motivated. Like I was a motivated sailor. Like I was studying really hard and I wanted to pick up rank so I can make more money. And then yeah, that happened. At first I didn't want to speak up about it. But the women that I was surrounded with, they kind of like they knew something was wrong.
Was this a person in a position of power?
It was someone that I knew. I showed up to work and they were like, why do you have so many cuts on your face? Like, why do you have bruises on your neck? Like, what's going on? I just started crying. I didn't know if I wanted to say what really happened because I didn't want anything to change. Like, I was working really hard and I just didn't want anything to change. And we all knew this person. I was just like very grateful that I was surrounded with people that cared about me. Yeah, they were like actually forcing me to go get the rape kit. Because like, you know, at a certain amount of time, like you have to go get it done. And I was just like, I don't want to, but they were like, no, you have to. Like, this person can't keep doing that. What if he does that to another girl? I went to go get it. And it was a long process, a lot of interrogation. It was like I was a suspect and they were interviewing me and they were like, oh, did this really happen? When obviously they see like the physical.
Right. The physical wounds on your body from being attacked by this man.
Yeah. And so like we went on court and he got 4 years. That's it.
Being essayed right in front of your mom and then her acting like she did not see anything is a weird way to grow up. It was summer break. It was a Saturday. My mom had asked me. She was like, oh, do you want to go out with my boyfriend to go to SeaWorld? I said, yeah, that's fine. That's cool. You know, whatever. So then she tells him like, oh, yeah, come pick us up. He comes, picks us up. We are there from 11 to 5 in the afternoon. We're playing with the stingrays. I did not fart. That was my slides. I never really had a problem with this particular dude because I always thought that he was cool and he was funny. But something in the back of my mind always told me to watch out for him because every time he stood behind me, I don't know why the hairs on my back kind of stood up as if you just got told a chilling story. So I remember like around 4 o'clock, he was like, okay, well, I think we should start heading out because traffic, whenever you're trying to leave, gets really bad. She said, okay. I said I was hungry. He's like, do you want to go to McDonald's? I can get you something from there. I said, yeah. He gets me a Happy Meal, a 6-piece, and then he orders another 10-piece for me because I told him I was really hungry. I had a fruit punch that day and it was super good and had like less ice because they always put so much ice in your drink to fill that sucker up. Looks like they're giving you more bang for your buck, but they're not. So I'm eating in the car, we're all talking, we're laughing, ha ha ha, and then we get to the apartment complex. I'm like, okay, you know what, I'm about to go take a nap. Okay, so before my mom gets out, she leans over to him, she kisses him, she gives him a hug, and she's literally just like so infatuated with this dude, I could tell on her face. She gets out. It's my turn to get out. And then he was like, oh, give me a hug. This man hugs me and then, like, right here, right there, in my mouth. And my mom, I'm looking for the corner of my eye and I'm looking at her and she's kind of looking, but she's like kind of looking away. But she doesn't say anything. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't even have a reaction to anything. And she was like, okay, let's go. And I look up at this man so confused. I'm like, are you supposed to do that? Is that okay? Is that what we do? And obviously that's not what you do, but I didn't know that at the time. My boyfriend like spit away from my mouth and I looked at my mom and I'm like, Mom, I don't like that he does that. And she was like, oh, it's part of his culture. I'm like, no, it ain't. That's part of nobody's culture that you do it like that. And she was like, oh, just forget about it. So I was looking at her like, just forget about it. You want me to just act like that didn't happen? And every time I saw him, I immediately clinged to my mom whenever we would get out of his car because it was the same car. And she would like, get off of me, like go say bye. I'll be like, all right, bro. And I jumped out the car. Okay, bye. And then my mom was like, that's it? I'm like, that's it? Like, what else do you expect me to do? I was never able to trust my mom after that. Never able to trust her because the fact that she saw and she acted like nothing was there always made me feel some type of way about it. And whenever she didn't do anything and she like kept dating this man, she dated this man for like about 4 months. And then he broke up with her for some other girl. And my mom was devastated and she blamed me for it. She said, oh, you know what? This is your fault because you never gave him a proper goodbye. I'm like, oh, oh, I gave him a proper goodbye. Bye, dude, it's a proper goodbye for a child. But that's just one of the things that my mom has been there to witness that she did not do anything about. So one of my followers has sent me a story that they want me to tell you guys. And she doesn't want nobody to know who she is. She said basically when she was 9 years old, her granddad had. Never before has this ever happened. He's never made any gesture towards her. He's never done anything inappropriate with her. She's always felt safe with her granddad. Like, she loved her granddad. She said one day that he was watching her. She was about 9 years old, and she said she was on the couch watching her shows. He walks over to her. He sits down. He was like, oh, what are you watching? She was like, oh, I'm just watching my shows. Like, really, like, leaned up on her. He was like, oh, let me give me a kiss. So she gave him one like I always do on the cheek. He said, oh, no, right here. She said that was weird because her family doesn't do that. So she was like, I did that because he wouldn't stop asking me. Her granddad does suggest like for them to go upstairs and play with her toys because she said they always did that anyway. Once they get upstairs, he closes the door behind them. She was like, for some reason, she said she got a very bad feeling, but she kind of like overlooked it. She was like, I was 9 years old. I really didn't know like what was going on. He said that once he closed the door, he got very with her, threw her on the. And she said that that moment changed her life forever because of what her grandfather did. She said she did come out and tell her mom. Her mom didn't believe her. She told her aunt. The aunt didn't believe her. She told the sister, the older sister at the time that she had, did not believe her. She told some of her uncles. Nobody believed her. She did tell a family friend. They told the parents, and the parents was like, oh no, you know, kids have a wild imagination. But the family friend did go to the police station and basically report the story that the little girl told him. An investigation, and basically the grandfather also was doing something else to another one of her cousins that they don't really talk to on that side of the family. The cousin's family, when they found out, they took him to jail. The other family, the one that she was a part of, basically like did not want no part of anything, and they said that their daughter was lying the whole time. When she was 15 years old, she got heavily into drugs, and she started doing them heavy, like meth and all of that. So this is what she wanted me to ask you guys. She says, if she would not have went upstairs with her granddad, do you think it still would have happened? Because she blames herself. She says, I feel like it's my fault. I feel like if I didn't go upstairs, if I listened to my gut feeling and stayed downstairs, I would have been fine. That statement broke my heart, and me and her just been talking back and forth because it's like, it's not your fault. You were 9. Do you know what a lot of us were doing at 9 years old? And it's like a lot of people I know will probably say like, oh, well, you should have listened to that gut feeling. She was 9. Remember that, okay? But in your opinion, what do you feel like would have happened? Because she really wants to know.
I got essayed by my neighbor. This is not my story. When I was in elementary school, one day I got locked out of my house for the first time. My parents weren't home, so I went to my neighbor's house. They were this sweet old couple, and they gladly took me in until my parents got home. They gave me a Diet Pepsi and taught me a card game. They were so sweet. They said that they had a granddaughter around my age and introduced me to her. We became best friends immediately. I'll call her Jane. So me and Jane became best friends. We did everything together. She always spent the night at my house, and when she did, nothing was weird at all. I need to mention that she was older than me, and her body and hormones were more mature than mine. I was a very protected kid and knew nothing about sex at this time. During about a year of us constantly hanging out, she invited me to spend the night at her house. At first, everything was normal. Go to part 2.
Story time on how I found out my dad was molesting my 4-year-old daughter. I'm not doing these for attention, for clout, for none of that. If I can tell my story and help somebody else, that's what I'm going to do. First thing I want to say is pay attention to your kids. Your girls, your boys, pay attention. It was the smallest thing that brought everything to light. Something that I could have absolutely overlooked, and I did not. Because I pay attention to my child. I look at everything. I pay attention to everything when it comes to her. I be paranoid, and it comes from my own childhood trauma. But anyways, so my dad lived about 2 hours from us. I had just finished school, and I was about to start my extern. My husband worked during the day, and I needed somebody to watch my daughter while I did my extern because she wasn't in school at the time. So my husband drove 2 hours, picked my dad up, brought my dad back to our house. So I started my extern. Everything was going good. Mind y'all, I ain't never told nobody this, but I was already paranoid. Like, it was something. I was paranoid that whole week. It was like little small stuff. that was being done that kind of had me uneasy. But okay, so the first thing was one day my husband was about to drop me off at my extern. It was like 8 in the morning. My daughter was in our room because my dad was in her room. So my baby was in the bed asleep. My husband and I, we were leaving the house, and we were outside, I want to say maybe 30 to 45 seconds, because my husband, when we got in the car, he realized that he left something. And he got up to go in the house, and when he got to our bedroom door, my dad was at the door. Mind you, my baby is in there asleep. It's like 8 in the morning. Before we left out the house, we told him that she was sleeping. That was weird to me, but then again, you couldn't tell him nothing about his grandchild. He loved his grandchild. I was thinking, like maybe she was whining or something and he went to check on her, but my husband was like, she's asleep. Okay. So another time, it was like my second or third day of my extern, my baby was playing in there with him. And she came out and she was just standing in the living room. And I could see his shadow in the hallway, like with his hand, he was like beckoning her to come back to where he was, but he would never say it out loud, which was weird because it just called her name. But it was like he was silently beckoning her, like he didn't want us to hear or see that he was calling her in the back where he was. Okay. After that, I don't know. I wasn't even a week into my extern when we found this out. Like, okay, he was doing little weird stuff, just weird stuff. And mind y'all, like I said, I lived with my dad my whole life. He got a bunch of nieces, a bunch of granddaughters. Everybody loved him, man. Ain't nobody ever said nothing out the way about him. No rumors. He ain't never did nothing to nobody. Like, he was just a host of fun. Everybody loved him. Like, that's why I'm shocked and hurt, like, to this day. Like, it still bothers me every day. But anyways, so one day, my baby, she came in there, like, she was still, like, at night, she was, at the time, she was still, like, with the bed. So, she had on a pull-up because it was nighttime and she was getting ready to go to bed. So, she lay out on the couch and she put her hand in her pull-up. So, red flag, flag on the play. I don't play that. Why your hands in your pull-up? But of course, I was like, babe, why you got your hand right there? Like, what's wrong? Where you get that from? Somebody did that to you? I'm asking questions. She was like, yes. So, I already know. When you questioning a child, you do not say a name. Like, you don't say nobody's name because, that child can just go with whatever you're saying. So I'm just like, somebody did that to you? I didn't say no name. Mind you, the only men in our house is my husband and my dad. And it could have been a woman. I got a bunch of cousins, whatever. It could have been a woman. So my husband, my dad, and sometimes my brother come around. But yeah, at the time, it was just us three in the house. So I'm like, somebody did that to you? And she's like, yeah. So I don't want to say a name. So I'm like, okay, baby, who did that? She was like, Pawpaw. That's what she called my dad. I'm like, Pawpaw, I'm trying to get some clarity. Pawpaw changed you? Pawpaw, what, wiped you? Took you a bath? I can't say exactly what it was that she did. She showed me what he did, and she also said something that he did, and my heart just dropped, like dropped. I was crying so bad. I told my husband and my dad got into an altercation. And yeah, I called my auntie. My auntie lived down the street from me, and I told her, and she was like, "Oh, I just don't believe he did that. I don't believe he, mind you, this my auntie on my mama's side." She was like, "I don't believe he did that." Wait, I gotta do a part 2.
I was a victim of child abuse, and this is my story. If you guys have been following my story, you guys know that I've experienced child abuse ever since I was 5. So in the last video, I mentioned that the last day that I was living at my grandma's with her abusive husband, I got punished by not being fed. So at this time, we haven't seen Jay around 6 months because my grandma's husband didn't allow us to see Jay or have communication with her. Jay ended up contacting my birth giver and asked if she can pretend to take us out, but instead she was gonna go take us to visit Jay. So my sister ended up telling Jay what had happened with the food situation. So Jay ended up calling my birth giver and telling her what was going on, and she didn't seem to care. Jay had a feeling that something was wrong at my grandma's house. Mind you, we haven't told her yet what was really going on, but Jay told my birth giver that she wasn't gonna allow us to take us over there. Jay gave my birth giver 2 options. She said, you either leave them here or the next morning I'm gonna call CPS on my grandma and my grandma's husband. I forgot to mention that my little brother, he was living with my birth giver. So on October 16 of 2021, my 2 sisters and me came to live with Jay. And finally, it felt like my life was getting better. Immediately when we came to live with Jay, she signed us up for therapy. Everything was going good, but we still haven't told her my grandma's husband was sexually abusing us at this point, especially because my other family members had not believed me in the past. And since she was new to the family, I felt like she wasn't gonna believe me. In December, one of my sisters were struggling mentally. So one night she went to go talk to Jay. We had school the next day, so me and my other sister went to sleep. The next day I dropped off at school, but my sister didn't go to school. I got picked up early because I had a doctor's appointment. I got in the car. My sister and Jay looked like they were crying. Their eyes were red and puffy. So I told them to tell me what was going on. And this is when my sister told me that my grandma's husband was sexually abusing her, and she had never told me, like I never knew. And I was in disbelief. I started crying and yelling because I thought this was only happening to me. Sorry guys, we had to bring my little brother to practice, but I'm gonna finish this in the car. Jay automatically believed us. I felt really relieved because finally someone had believed me, even though she wasn't blood to me. She was willing to stand up for us. That day I had a doctor's appointment and there was a social worker there, so Jay and I reported it to her. Later I ended up finding out that she never filed a report for it, so that is also how the system failed me. Next day I was feeling really sad and I ended up telling my teacher, and that's who reported it. Jay thought by telling the social worker that she was gonna report it, but gladly my teacher reported it. And the next day, Jay received a call from the detective. Mind you, Jay at this point didn't have any legal rights of us, so my birth giver could take us away at any moment. Jay was told by the detective not to tell my birth giver, since we believe she would have told my grandma's husband, or at least told my grandma. While dealing with all this, Jay receives a call from CPS asking her if she could take in my brother. Jay told the social worker that she was financially struggling, but she would take him in. Jay ended up taking time off of work because my brother was 3 years old and needed someone to take care of him. So after almost a month, Jay needed to get back to work. So she asked the social worker if she can at least get food stamps or free daycare, so that way she can go back to work and support us with my uncle financially. My uncle was the only one financially taking care of us. So the social worker said instead of giving Jay help, that she could just return my little brother to my birth giver, although she was not able to care for him. But since Jay didn't have any legal rights, Jay was forced to give back my little brother. to my birth giver. After a month of him being back with my birth giver, Jay gets a call again from a new social worker saying that they are removing my little brother from my birth giver and he was going to be placed into foster care. Because Jay had no legal rights of us, we all had to be placed into foster care. I also forgot to mention that right after my brother was removed, she got pregnant with her 5th child. And yeah, I've seen you guys' comments trying to guess who Jay is. So once we were placed into foster care, Jay being the amazing person that she is, Jay ended up getting licensed and becoming our foster mom. For those of you guys that don't know how the foster care system works, it's basically all about reunification, which means after they read that everything happened in the past, including my birth giver abandoning us, they still gave her 2 years to reunify us. So pretty much they gave her a second chance. So for these 2 years, Jay advocated for us. She went to every single court hearing. We feared that we would all get put back there or be separated, and that my little brother would have to go back to my birth giver. And the social worker would bribe him by saying that my birth giver had a presence for my little brother, and that was just wrong. 2 years later, my uncle and Jay adopted us and got custody for our little brother. Here's a picture of all of us through the process of Jay and my uncle getting custody and adopting us. Everybody has belittled and humiliated Jay. My uncle was the only blood related person that stuck up for us and believed us. But a lot of you guys are wondering what happened to my grandma and my grandma's husband. So the detectives look into all the evidence, and on December 2021, 2 days before New Year's, he got pulled over on his way back from work and they arrested him. My birth giver called Jay and told her that my grandma had called her crying, saying that her husband got arrested. So my uncle called my grandma and asked her if we can come over, that way we can talk about it. She said that she didn't want to talk to us and that this was all a lie and that we ruined her life. My birth giver told Jay on the phone that she didn't know what to believe. So once again, no surprise there. All you guys are wondering, where is my other sister? I'm gonna start off by saying that Jay took all of us out of that situation. We all got the same opportunity, but unfortunately she decided to leave. She said the reason why she was leaving is that because she wanted to get away from my grandma, my grandma's husband, my birth giver, just everyone, and she wanted to leave out of this area because we live close by. She ended up going to live with my dad, and that did not work out, so she went back to my birth giver. My family didn't believe us. On the next video, Jay is going to be talking to you guys how she ended up getting us and how everything went down on her point of view. We have recorded our whole process of trial. I want children that have experienced this to know that they're not alone. A lot of times people of our own family are the ones that abuse us, and a lot of times we're not believed, and sometimes it's really scary to speak up. So we recorded the whole process of trial to hopefully empower children to speak up. Thank you to everybody that has listened to my story and that has sent kind messages to us. I know a lot of this was difficult to hear, but I'm speaking up and bringing awareness.
What's going on? Why is mom yelling?
Don't fucking worry about it. Just go back to your rooms and get ready for school.
Fucking cheating asshole mother. Mom, why are you breaking everything? What happened? I'll tell you what happened. Your dad's out there cheating on me with that whore named Jackie. Jackie, like his friend's wife? Yeah, now leave me alone. Go get ready for school. All three of you better make sure you're ready because your dad and Jackie will be here to pick you up to go Christmas shopping very soon. I'm ready. Yeah, me too. Where's your girlfriend? Waiting in the car. You guys ready? Let's go. This is Jackie, guys. She's gonna come Christmas shopping with us, okay? Thanks for letting me come along, guys. So what are you guys wanting to do? What are we thinking for Christmas presents? I know he has money because he just bought his girlfriend a phone, so... I want a new phone. All right, we can do that. Let's go to the store and get it. So how was it? What did you guys do? I had so much fun. I really like Jackie. She's so nice. And Dad got me a brand new phone. And then we went out to eat afterwards. He only bought you that phone because he bought his girlfriend a phone. What did your brothers get? Not phones. I'm really glad you're back home, Dad. Me too, baby girl. I missed you a lot. It was so hard when you were gone because Mom just had me nonstop stalking you and your girlfriend on my Facebook because I guess you guys had her blocked or something. If you and Mom split up again, I'd much rather live with you. You're my best friend.
Hi, I got raped 2 days ago. I posted it on Twitter, and Twitter took it and fucking ran with it. It got a lot of exposure, which is what I wanted. I wanted everybody to see his face and know what the fuck he did to me. A lot of fucking losers that are shitting on me and saying that I'm lying. There's this one specific account that made a fucking YouTube video about me. So let's debunk it, okay?
And as someone who's dealt with the false accusation before, I figured I would give my commentary and thoughts on it.
I think that is a great start to your video. Thank you for letting us all know that you have been accused of this crime as well.
So the reason this seems so fishy is the way this chick is going about it. Like I said, she's tagging local news stations. She's just going out of her way to be extra about it. Why on earth is she going to social media and blasting this guy before even talking to the cops?
This statement is extremely false. In my original post on Twitter, I did state that I'm posting this just in case the justice system doesn't do its part, because I want women in my area to be safe. This man is active in my area. He's active in my city. He goes to parties, clubs, bars, etc. So yes, I want people to see his face and recognize it before the same thing happens to them. And no, I did not run to social media before I went to the cops. 5 hours after my rape happened, I went to the hospital and I got a rape kit done, and I spoke to the Tucson Police Department. And then I posted it on social media to make everybody aware.
The reason this seems so fishy is the way this chick is going about everything. It just seems like she's really out to get this guy.
Yeah. I am, because he raped me. Prior to this, we had been friends for over 10 years, so I had no reason to be upset at him. I had never had an issue with him in the past. I invited him to my birthday party. When he came to my birthday party, I gave him a hug. I said, "It's so nice to see you. I'm so glad you were able to come." That was it. I had no ill intentions with him. I had no issue with him, nothing of the sort.
And I even said it in one of my comments where if you're actually serious about getting justice, then you would shut your mouth, you'd focus on your case.
I quote my tweet when I say, "Just in case the justice system fails me," which happens to so many women that do report their rape. It's not going to take effect on my case. They're not going to drop the charges because I spoke up about it. I'm making other women aware.
And before I recorded this, I actually went online. I was searching. I found the county. The Tucson County is Pima County. I started looking. I tried to find this guy's mugshots. I tried to find a court record, an arrest record, a news article, anything. I couldn't find anything. So this guy hasn't been arrested yet because there's no arrest record. There's no mugshot. Who knows if anything's going to come out of it? I mean, if they did do a rape kit, then obviously the police do know about it.
I don't understand what's so hard for people to understand that when you get a rape, it's a DNA testing. They swabbed my entire body. They took pictures of every inch. Results do not come back the next day. That's not how DNA testing works in any matter, whether that be a homicide, anything. That's not how it works. When I got my rape kit done, they said it could take up to 4 weeks before I got results back. No, they're not going to arrest him off he said, she said. That's not, I don't know what state you live in, but that's not what happens in Arizona. I wish to God he was locked up, but nobody knows where he's at. No, they don't go, "Oh, she said that you her, so sorry, you got to get in the back of my fucking patrol car." Mind you, I was raped at 4 in the morning on February 25th of 2024. It is barely February 28th of 2024. They haven't had time to conduct an investigation, and everybody knows how the justice system works for women in these cases. Like, they get thrown under the rug. It's not a priority.
A lot of people got a kick when I searched in her media. I found some thoughty picture of her, and there's a bunch actually, but I just picked out the one where she looked like the most hoish. I don't know, the chick's got tattoos. She looks like a fucking thought. She's a single mom too. Saw pictures of her baby on there. And why is a single mom out at 4 o'clock in the morning getting drunk, blackout drunk, to the point where she doesn't even know that she's getting fucked?
Just because I'm a single mom doesn't mean I don't get to have fun. It was my 21st birthday party. My son was with his nana back at her house, having a great time. I was enjoying my 21st birthday. Not only that, I was put to bed. My friends put me to bed. I heard around 2. I don't remember the time. I heard around 2 in the morning. I was put to bed, and I woke up to him already having sex with me. So it wasn't because of the fact I was drunk. It was the fact I was sleeping, and I woke up to him already having sex with me. Not only that, what do the pictures I post have anything to do with the situation? Because I post pictures of myself more provocative, I'm asking to be raped. What does that have to do with anything?
Absolutely could. He could have done it. I don't know, but
that's the thing. You don't know. But why are you saying that I am falsely accusing him? Why are you blasting my pictures on the internet? Why are you blasting me on the internet saying that I'm falsely accusing when you don't know anything about the situation?
Most likely they will go forward, which is why I'm kind of shocked that there's no arrest record or case file yet, because I believe this happened 2 days ago. I'm not sure.
Like, I'm so confused. You hear yourself? Like, because these things don't take a day to make an arrest. There's homicides that go left untouched for so long because they need to collect the correct evidence. My evidence is still being processed.
All I know is the way she's acting is not really consistent with how actual rape victims act.
I didn't know that there was a handbook on how victims should act. I have gone through a lot in my life. I have been assaulted twice before this. I didn't get justice the last 2 times. So now I'm coming full force. I'm not gonna sit there and cry in my fucking room anymore. I don't cry over things like that. I'm not the type of person to sit and cry. I don't cry anymore. And it's like, I cried when it happened, but I have a son that I need to worry about. I can't just sit in my fucking bed and mope around all day. I have things I have to do. And on the topic of my son, the rule that I have with myself when it comes to my son is I don't cry in front of my son. I'll never cry in front of my son. It's so important that he does not see me like that because I'm supposed to be his protector. He's not supposed to be mine. He will not see me cry, so I don't have the time to go and cry when I have a baby that's with me all the time. It's because my actions don't align with the way you think a victim should act. Doesn't mean I'm fucking lying.
Usually when a woman is raped, they're scared, they're ashamed, they're generally not going to go on social media and almost brag about it, which is what this chick is doing.
Again, not making awareness about it sets them free. Last 2 times I was assaulted, I set them free by not saying anything about it.
But the point I want to drive home is the whole innocent until proven guilty thing. I don't know if this man did it or not, but women should not be allowed to go online and drag a man's name through the mud with 0 evidence.
Evidence is being processed. It's not like there's no evidence. I have witnesses. Sorry that Twitter has 120 characters that I can use. Sorry I didn't tell you every little detail of what happened 24 hours. I stated on my Twitter that I wasn't posting it for me. I was posting it for the other woman in Tucson that he might come into contact with and do the same thing to. I don't have to go into detail because this guy with an anime profile picture thinks I'm lying. That's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it to protect the other woman in my area. And I think these men fail to realize, sorry, I forgot to grab my phone and record him. Evidence isn't crystal clear like that off the fucking bat. Women being not an issue to you. You don't take it serious. You don't take victims serious because you've been accused of yourself.
Because this type of shit absolutely destroys people's lives. Men have actually unalived themselves over false accusations.
Shit like being ruins women's lives. You know how many women have unalived themselves because they've been raped and didn't get justice and nothing was done about it? Let's look at the difference in those statistics.
There should be things and laws in place to where a man's name can't be dragged through the mud like that. Like, a mugshot being passed around online is bad enough. It's embarrassing enough. Whether this is true or not, that man's probably going to lose his job. He's going to lose friends, might even lose family. He's probably going to go through a depression. And the only thing I can say about that is, if he did do it, then, he deserves all that. But if he didn't, that's kind of fucked up. And that's what
the thing is, I physically couldn't care less if my friends, family goes through depression because of the lifetime's worth of trauma that he put me through within that hour. I have to live with that for the rest of my life. I don't care what he has to go through because those are the consequences of his actions.
If he had proof that I was lying, then fucking say something. Sue me for defamation, but that's not the fucking case, and that's why he hasn't spoke up about it, and that's why nobody can fucking find him. It's like the people that are attacking me on this subject picked and chose what they wanted to hear, because I said I had witnesses. In the original post, I said that he admitted it. I said that there's evidence, there's proof, I did everything that I possibly could at this point to move forward with the process of pressing charges, and yet that's still not enough. Nothing will ever be enough for you guys. Nothing will ever be enough.
It's better to have a couple criminals slip through the cracks than have one innocent man's life destroyed.
Like, you hear yourself, right? Get help.
So she said Daddy took her to the doctor to get the pink stick to turn back white because her stomach was getting hard and she wasn't feeling good. But they asked Daddy some questions and Daddy got scared. So they left and they went to another place and they asked Daddy some questions and Daddy got scared again. So they left again. And then she went back home, but she still had to keep her secret. But her stomach was getting hard and it was hurting a whole lot. And Daddy asked her, "Did you ever see blood in your panties?" And she said, "No, Daddy, I haven't seen blood in my panties since the first time you laid in the bed with me." And he said, "So you've never seen blood in your panties?" And she said, "No, but what Daddy didn't know is that you could actually get pregnant before you start menstruating, because if you ovulate that very first time, there's an opportunity for you to get pregnant." And so we're going to assume that she's pregnant because her stomach's getting hard and Daddy is taking her places to try to make her stomach not hard anymore. And so she's getting bigger and bigger. And finally, Mommy starts to notice that something is wrong with her. And she asks her, "What's going on? Why are you looking like this? Well, have you started your cycle?" Well, she didn't know what a cycle was, but she hadn't started it. And she still couldn't tell the secret because if she told on Daddy, Daddy could get in trouble. And Daddy was her best friend. And she was the best secret keeper in the world.
Hi guys, so this is part 3 of the story of my life. So I left off by telling you guys that I told my teacher. So the abuse started when I was 5 and it ended when I was in 3rd grade. So I think I was 8. So after the interrogation with the cops, since the abuse was recent, I had to go to the doctors and get checked. They found his DNA on me. So my grandpa was taking me to school and we always had to pass by my aunt's house where he lived at. We were driving by the house and they were arresting him. My grandpa stopped and watched him get arrested, and like the whole time he was just yelling at me, and my family members were crying for him, and I just felt like uncomfortable because I didn't want to watch him get arrested because I knew everybody would blame me. So they ended up giving him a plea deal because my birth giver didn't want to press charges on him. So I was informed that he would still go to jail because it was a legal matter. He did admit to it. And even then, my family didn't believe me and they still blamed me for it, even though I was a child. A lot of family members decided to distance themselves from me because they would blame me. So he's due to come out when I'm 21. Even though it was considered rape and so much more, they still gave him a short amount of time in jail because my family didn't want to fight for me. Since my uncle was my grandpa's brother, my grandpa was very upset and would hit me for no reason. I saw some comments that you guys thought that my grandma was gonna come through and be the one to believe me, and unfortunately she didn't. But remember this because she's gonna come up again, another part of my story that I will be telling you guys later. I'm going to start a new video for the next part because it doesn't have nothing to do with the topic that we're talking about. But if you guys think that this is bad, things do get worse. I'll be posting part 4 today. Hi guys, so this is part 2 of Story of My Life. Before I get started, I just want to thank everyone for the kind messages that I've been receiving. Also, the topic that I'm going to be talking about can be hard to listen. So this is just a trigger warning and it's okay to skip if you're not ready to hear. This part of my story is how my family failed me. So when I was 5 years old, I got sexually abused by one of my uncles. Obviously at that age, I didn't know what was happening. Every time we were over there at my aunt's house, I would always tell my mom that I didn't want to stay there, that I didn't want to be there, but she didn't care. I let my birth giver know that I was uncomfortable with this person. So we had after school program, and after school program we had to walk to my aunt's house or my grandma's house. Cause I'm part one. Remember that I mentioned that I was always left in after school program, and my birth giver never had time to pick me up, and we would walk to my aunt's house. And this man lived in my aunt's house, which happens to be my uncle. Me and my sisters would go there after school and wait for my birth giver to come. And then one day my grandpa said that we were gonna go to McDonald's. And then I asked if I could go with with him, and he told me no, that I had to stay. So my grandpa ended up taking my two sisters and I stayed home with my uncle, which I never understood why I had to stay home with him. He would take me to a room in the house, and that's where he would sexually abuse me. But I was too little to understand what was happening in the beginning. And then years passed, and one day when my grandma was showering me, she told me that no one should ever touch my body unless it's my mom and my grandma. And that's when I understood that what my uncle was doing was wrong. Okay. And then my birth giver always told me that I had to listen to adults. So as a kid, I thought I was doing the right thing by listening to him. So when I was telling him to stop, he would tell me that he was going to tell my mom that I wasn't listening to adults. And I didn't want to get in trouble. So I didn't tell no one. And I just want to take this moment to say that I'm sharing this story because many parents make the mistake of telling their kids that they need to listen to adults. Another reason why I didn't tell nobody in the beginning is because my family would always say that me and my siblings were liars, and they would always believe adults over me. So one day when I was at school, I believe I was in 3rd grade, I told my after school program teacher what my uncle was doing. I trusted my teacher more than I trusted my birth giver. So she called my grandma and she came and picked me up, and my grandma was asking me where I had pain, and I showed her the spot, and that's when I told her that my uncle was SA me. And she said, "Es que tú también." It's a term used to say your fault too. After my grandma's house, I went home, and the cops ended up calling my birth giver. Once they called us to the police station, my birth giver didn't say a word to me. It felt as in like everyone was disappointed in me, and I felt like I did something wrong. I was part of a family that cared more of their image than they cared about me. I'm gonna end up doing a part 2 because I have to go to church now, but I'll be back.